Cristiana Chamorro Barrios is a Nicaraguan journalist, nonprofit executive and political candidate. Vice President of La Prensa. She was a pre-candidate for president in the 2021 Nicaraguan general election until the Ortega government disqualified her from running, then ordered her arrest in early June 2021. Chamorro is the daughter of assassinated newspaper editor Pedro Joaquin Chamorro Cardinal and former Nicaraguan President Violeta Barrios de Chamorro. Her father, a critic of the Somoza regime, was murdered in 1978, turning tide of support against the dictatorship which fell to the Sandinista National Liberation Front the following year. Cristiana joined her mother working at his paper, La Prensa, and by 35 was editor of the paper. She supported her mother's 1989 campaign for the presidency. But once her mother took office, the paper, historically an opposition outlet, came to be seen as a government mouthpiece. Readership declined, and by the winter of 1990 Violeta decided to cede her role as publisher and give her shares in the paper to Cristiana. However, her late father's relatives, who controlled 60% of the paper, were unhappy about this and tried to force out Cristiana for political reasons. Her husband Antonio Lacayo was a major figure in her mother's administration and more friendly to the just-defeated Sandinista National Liberation Front than the other side of the family wanted, and they felt the paper had followed this tendency. As a compromise, Cristiana Chamorro became chair of the board and anti-FSLN editor Horacio Ruiz became executive editor. Their relationship became acrimonious to the point of no longer speaking, and Chamorro's brother Pedro Joaquin Chamorro Barrios soon replaced Ruiz, although she also had disagreements with her brother, who had been a Contra. As of 2021, Cristiana Chamorro is vice president of the paper. Nicaragua's largest. Chamorro also became director of the Press Freedom Foundation in her mother's name, Foundation Violeta Barrios de Chamorro. She served in this capacity until January 2021, and in February 2021 the foundation ceased operations after the Ortega government, which had returned to power in 2007, announced a new law that all groups receiving funding from outside Nicaragua would be required to register as foreign agents, rather than accept foreign status. The foundation ceased operations. In 2021, Chamorro was a pre-candidate for president, although she foremost supports a unified opposition ticket to challenge incumbent Ortega, who is running for a fifth term. In May, the Ortega regime opened an investigation in Chamorro's work at the foundation, alleging money laundering, which threatened to disqualify her candidacy as people under investigation are barred from running. This followed on Nicaragua's Supreme Electoral Council's revocation of the legal status of opposition party, the Democratic Restoration Party, the day Chamorro was called in for questioning. The police also raided the news offices of her brother Carlos's media channel, Confidencial, confiscating equipment and arresting a cameraman. Chamorro subsequently announced she would join the primary, alongside 7 other candidates, for the Citizens for Freedom Party, the only remaining opposition party illegally qualified to field a candidate in the November 2021 election. The Ortega government then announced she was disqualified from running and on June 2 raided her house and detained her 15 minutes before she was scheduled to give a press conference. The Secretary General for the Organization of American States, Luis Almagro, criticized the arrest, issuing a statement saying, "Actions like this remove all political credibility from the government and the organizers of the electoral process." Chamorro was married to Antonio Lacayo until his death in a helicopter crash in 2015.